Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2, testing, testing. Let's see if we can go live or not. Come, it's refreshing. Come on. What's going on my connection here? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Okay, we're in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ingram Jones, and we're in. Lucas Browne versus Ruslan Chagaev. This is my post-fight review. It's a bit late, but I've only just got into the country, so you'll have to bear with me. Now, I've just watched a fight on replay via Box Nation, and Lucas Browne. I thought this fight, I never agreed to get to my preview for this fight, but I thought this fight was down to Lucas Browne physical strength and power versus the superior boxing ability of Ruslan Chagaev. Chagaev could punch himself. And in the early rounds, I was very impressed with the sort of condition Lucas Browne came in to this fight. I was also impressed with his footwork. He seemed a lot more agile on his feet for a big man, and he dealt with the southpaw style pretty decent. Of course, Ruslan Chagaev's class, you could see in round 6 in particular, where he dropped Lucas Browne heavily, really badly dropped him. And Lucas Browne, look, he was out there, but luckily the bell saved him. You got to think to yourself, if Chagaev was 10 years younger, I don't think, the result would be the way it is today. But to be fair, Lucas Browne got off the deck and he put on, he showed a lot of heart. And in the 10th round, landed a heck of a shot and stopped Ruslan Chagaev. Now, has Lucas Browne got world-class punching power? I would say he has. I know Chagaev is a bit on the older side of things, but I've got to say that Chagaev has still got a great chin, and not even Klitschko did what Browne did. Browne is very heavy-handed. I've got to say also in this fight, I've criticised Browne in the past for looking rather slow and rather leaden-footed, almost walking in quicksand. But tonight's fight, he actually showed a bit of diversity, showed he could get up on his toes, showed a bit of nice movement. Still don't move his head very much, but what a right hand to finish his job off. So he's a brutal puncher. And if he hits anybody in the heavyweight division, I've always said about Lucas Browne, if he hits everyone in the heavyweight division, he'll take you out of there. So I'm so proud for Lucas Browne. The good thing about Lucas Browne is he's done it the hard way in the sense that, he's fought his way up to that position. And he's had all sorts of issues outside the ring contractually. I remember the time when Lucas Browne didn't know when he was fighting again. But finally, he fights Ruslan Chagaev. I kind of asked myself the question, had Ruslan Chagaev taken this fight when he should have originally taken this fight all that time ago and wasn't caught up in all the delays and all the contractual issues, would the fight have been a different fight? But for Lucas Browne, thank goodness, he's the first heavyweight champion of the world from Australia, which is fantastic. And that's great news. That's going to bring some great news. And I look forward to seeing this Lucas Browne fight in the future. So he's beaten a good opponent, his best name on his record. I guess it now makes Richard Towers look even better now, based on the fact that he's now got beat by a WBA heavyweight champion of the world. And I don't believe it's a championship to laugh at or sneeze at. David Haye was once WBA heavyweight champion of the world. So Lucas Browne can look forward to some big fights. I don't know if he's fought Fraser Quendo before. I think Fraser Quendo he could fight. There's, of course, WBA interim champion, which is Luis Ortiz, who fights Tony Thompson tonight. So there's that to look forward to as well. I won't talk too much because I know there's boxing on later. There's, Tony Thompson and between Tony Thompson and King Kong. A lot of people expect King Kong to win the fight tonight. But regardless of whoever those two guys are, but I guess King Kong is the favourite to beat Tony Thompson. So let me see who I've got in the room and if anybody say anything. Here we go. White Nationalist says, howdy tell, effing brilliant fight. I was screaming at the screen when he dropped Chagaev. Happy days, I'm thrilled for him. Yes, I am as well. Um, uh, I wasn't missing it for the world. Really good fight. It was a very good fight. Very, very good fight. Yes, Terence, he was dropped in the 6th round. Heavily dropped. Yeah, he was taking a hammer in the 6th round. The boss cheated by extending the 3-minute round. Yeah, well, it was a hometown fight, but I've always believed. I'm of the belief if it's your time, it's your time, and no matter what they did, Lucas Browne is now heavyweight champion of the world, and you can't knock that. You can say what you want, but he's slow, he's a doorman, and all the rest of it, but he's a bouncer. But let me tell you something: Lucas Browne can punch. He's got a good chin. He got dropped by a good punch in Chagaev. He got up and he knocked Chagaev out. That's it. That's it. And I don't know how many heavyweights in the world want to get hit with that right hand. I wouldn't say Lucas Browne's got the fastest hands in the world, but my God, when he hits you, you stay hit. So can you imagine that right hand hitting somebody like Wild on the chin? That'd be interesting to see. It'd be a great fight. While it lasted. The Dwyer was always high on Browne. Well, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm high on Browne. I still think he's very limited. I think he got Chagaev at the right time, and I'm not taking anything away from Lucas Browne. I still think, there's a level between Lucas Browne and the Chagaevs as well, and then we're talking the Tyson Furies, the Vladimir Klitschko's, even Luis Ortiz. A T would be a good fight. I'd like to see Lucas Browne versus Bright Jennings. I think that'd be a good fight. I'd like to see Lucas Browne versus Bermane Stiverne, Lucas Browne versus to be an interesting fight. Lucas Browne versus Dave Allen. That'd be an interesting fight. To be fair to why he was, I was decidedly I was before versus 5'9" James Tunney. I was as well. I saw him go life and death with straight James Tunney. But to be fair, again, this is a guy that's learned was trained on the job. I think he was a UFC or MMA fighter before that. Browne is the worst title holder ever in his heavyweight history, making boxing history. He's not a top 10 at 20 heavyweight. That's a bit harsh, That's a bit harsh because he is the mandatory number 1 or number 2. I think it was mandatory number 1 contender for a long time. And then, of course, Ortiz had the. Look, I wouldn't say that Lucas Browne was as bad was worse than, let's say, Axel Schultz or maybe what's his name, Bruce Seldon. Bruce Seldon was pretty bad. So I think Bruce Seldon was pretty bad. Yeah, Axel Schultz. So I think to myself that, to be honest with you, Lucas Browne isn't that bad. He's unbeaten. He's beaten Ruslan Chagaev, who's a very good fighter. I still think he's a top fighter. White Nash says Browne would give Wilder all he could handle. He didn't look good at all. Bad versus skill champion. He moved well. His deep wasn't too bad, even though he was getting tagged. Yeah, he was getting tagged by a superior boxer in Chagaev. I think Lucas Browne versus Deontay Wilder, I'd be very surprised if that fight was ever made, because we all know that Deontay Wilder has a bit of a question mark around his chin, and I think his punch power is overrated. And if Lucas Browne is able to soak up the initial attacks from Deontay Wilder and is able to land the right hand, a la Molina, a la Duhaupas, who knows what could happen? But I can tell you now, if Lucas Browne lands on Deontay Wilder, there's only one way I see that fight happen, and that's Deontay Wilder getting knocked out. But I was very impressed with Lucas Browne's footwork. And the other thing I was impressed with is the fact that Lucas Browne boxes southpaw. Chagaev was in horrible shape. He looked like he'd been trained by laying on the couch, drinking beer, eating junk food. But I think Chagaev is past it, let's be honest. I think Chagaev is very old in the tooth. We knew that coming into this fight. Chagaev's an old man. He's been around a long time. So he was making a bit of money while he had the WBA title in his hand. He did score a very good win over Pianetta, who Klitschko could knock out. So I guess, but Chagaev still, he can still punch. The last thing you lose in boxing is your punch power. And once again, he showed he could punch, dropping Lucas Browne very heavily. But to even get back up, no, Richard Dwyer was high on Browne, Ingram. Dwyer is famous for going against the grain and being proven right. I like Dwyer. Yeah, I like Dwyer too. I think Lucas Browne, for me, like I said, he's heavy-handed, takes a good punch, but very limited. His boxing, his footwork was pretty good, and the punch he used to get rid of Chagaev was very good. But again, I wouldn't like to see Lucas Browne ring with someone like a Tyson Fury. Long arms, tall, can box from southpaw, can box orthodox, good on the inside, good on the outside. I think Hughie Fury versus Lucas Browne is an interesting fight. You'd think Hughie Fury could win the fight at distance, but Lucas Browne can punch and he will hit harder than I think anybody that Hughie Fury is facing in his professional career. So Hughie could be winning the fight, as Chagaev was winning the fight, and Browne lands one of them right hands, and the fight could be over. So Lucas Browne has an equalizer, and when you're a boxer and you have an equalizer, it don't matter who you're in the ring with. One of those punches, you could be against the most skilled fighter in the world. We've seen it time and time again. Guys who should be winning the fights, head on point scorecards, and then get caught with one shot and the fight's all over. I remember Michael Nunn being a mile ahead on the scorecards against James Toney, and one punch, bam, fight was all over. Harold Bomber Graham against Julian Jackson. Bomber Graham outboxing Julian Jackson, blind in one eye, makes one mistake, bang, fight's over. So a guy like Lucas Browne, he might not be the greatest boxer in the world. He might not have the greatest defense in the world, but what he does have is that one punch knockout power. And in heavyweight boxing, really, that's what you really need. So congratulations to Lucas Browne, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, and the first heavyweight champion of the world in Australia. I believe when Lucas Browne returns to Australia, he's going to get a very warm welcome with the WBA title. And what I'd like to see next for Lucas Browne is to make his first defense in Australia, so heavyweight boxing can turn. And I hope he can get a couple of defenses with his WBA title in Australia. Maybe even get King Kong to come to Australia and fight him, because he's the interim champion. I guess if he beats Tony Thompson, then he's in line to fight Lucas Browne. So you could be seeing Lucas Browne versus Luis Ortiz. Good fight. Good fight. You'd have to favor Luis Ortiz early in that fight, because Luis Ortiz can punch, and he can. I believe Luis Ortiz hits harder than Ruslan Chagaev, and if that left hand is what put Browne down, I don't think he gets up. If who is the true champion? Of course, Fury is the true champion, because Fury he beat the man to beat the man. He beat Klitschko, so Fury is the university recognized heavyweight champion of the world, as far as I'm concerned. Who's Deontay Wilder beat him? He beat Bermane Stiverne. you know. Um, whereas, there's a legacy with Klitschko. Whereas Lucas Browne, he's just beat Chagaev, who I believe won the title when David Haye vacated the title, and then Povetkin had the title. Povetkin vacated to fight Klitschko, if I'm correct. I see another good fight I'd like to see. Derek Chisora versus Lucas Browne. How about maybe Dillian White versus Lucas Browne? Yeah, Huey schools Lucas. I'd put serious dough on Huey if I could get 1-2. Tyson Fury said he'd fight Lucas back when Chisora fight was cancelled, when he was facing off against Ustinov. Hey, let me tell you something. That's a good fight. If Tyson fights that reckless way he used to fight, but if Tyson fights the way he's fighting like today, where he's keeping everything at distance and using the jab and using the boxing ability, I can't see Lucas Browne getting close to Tyson, to be honest. And I think Derek Chisora is better at getting on the inside than Lucas Browne. But I think he hits harder than Derek Chisora. But I don't think he moves his head as good as Chisora. And I don't think he knows how to get inside like Chisora does. Michael Moore versus George Foreman. David Haye would be looking at Browne like a lion looking at a wounded gazelle. Yeah, well, I would agree with you there, but I'd like to see Mr. Haye. I believe Mr. Haye might be fighting Shannon Briggs next. Yeah, the ancient Shannon Briggs could be next for David Haye. I've said before, I predicted that David Haye would either fight Shannon Briggs or Malik Scott. Shannon Briggs because he could sell a fight and he'll sell tickets, and Malik Scott because he's easy to put over. He's been put over before, and I believe if David Haye hits him, he stays hit. So those are my thoughts there. Oh, 9 people are watching the show, and I'm about to close off the show. Okay. So yeah, like I said, congratulations to Lucas Browne. So happy for him. Lucas, if you're watching the show, I know I've said some things about you being a bit slow on your feet, and I've said a few things about you being, a bit limited. I think you've admitted yourself you're limited, but you know what? There's one thing I've never disputed about, two things I've never disputed about you: your heart, courage, and punch power. And Lucas Browne, if you're watching this, congratulations, mate. You've proved the critics wrong. Hand up. I think I expected Chagaev to actually give you a good boxing lesson and then end up knocking you out. Chagaev was giving you a good boxing lesson, dropped you, couldn't finish you off. You got back up and ended up knocking Chagaev in spectacular fashion. Fair play. So I think those are my thoughts about Chagaev versus Browne. While I'm at it, I think I'll talk about Tony Thompson versus Luis Ortiz. The only way I see Luis Ortiz being upset in the fight tonight is because of Luis Ortiz's stamina. I still have serious question marks about Luis Ortiz's stamina in the second half of the fight. I hope it's a 12-round fight. And I hope Tony Thompson can get out the first 6 rounds of the fight and go in the second half of the fight. And because I think Tony Thompson's got some very good boxing ability. If there's going to be a knockout early, it would be, I believe, Luis Ortiz. I hope Vargas gets beat tonight. Too many gifts. Is Vargas like Danny Garcia? Is he? I think I've seen Jesse Vargas fought once or twice, but yeah. So for me, I would go Luis Ortiz early, and I don't believe Thompson where he says he hasn't trained for the fight. I believe Thompson's a wily old fox, and I think Thompson will come and give it his all. He knows, Tony Thompson knows, if he beats Luis Ortiz, he's right at the top of the tree. And here's this: I don't believe the fight is for the WBA interim title, which is interesting. I think the fight is just a fight, but not an international bout, and not for the WBA interim title. I don't know if it's because somebody didn't pay the sanction fees, because they didn't take too much risk with Tony Thompson. Tony Thompson's an old man. Tony Thompson's old like Ruslan Chagaev. He's of yesteryear, But like I said, don't count Tony Thompson out because he's got the ability. He can still punch a bit, but you know, I don't think Ortiz is a spring chicken here. I think Ortiz is about 35 years old as well. I think so. Yeah. Um, Anything else? No, I don't think there's anything else I'll say. It's almost 2 o'clock. Conor McGregor tonight. I think he's moving up in weight and fighting middleweight. I can't imagine Conor McGregor being any faster tonight. I think he'll be a lot slower. I'm just fascinated to see what happens if Conor McGregor gets beat by Diaz tonight. That'd be so funny. If McGregor got beat tonight, it'd be so funny. So funny. I laugh my head off. I do like Conor McGregor though. He's good. Talks a lot of rubbish. I like him though. He's entertaining. But Diaz can fight a bit. So we'll see. We'll see. This has been Ingram Jones from Bayloric TV Boxing Channel. It's 1:45 in the morning. I'm absolutely exhausted. And it's nice to be back in the UK. I'm out. Take care.